A young Spartan woman stands in the gymnasium. She's running faster than most men. She's literate, while women across Greece cannot read. She owns more land than warriors who've fought in a dozen battles. History told you Spartan women were either oppressed victims or empowered heroes. But what if the truth is far stranger than either story? What if these women played a role in the fall of an empire that no one saw coming? Stay until the end, because the real story will completely change how you see ancient history. When you think of ancient Greece, you probably picture Athens' democracy, philosophy, the birthplace of Western civilization. Women in Athens lived very restricted lives. They couldn't own property, couldn't participate in politics, and rarely left their homes without male supervision. Then there's Sparta, the warrior state, the ultimate military society. And here's where it gets interesting. Spartan women lived completely different lives. They exercised publicly. They owned property, lots of it. They were educated. They spoke their minds. Some ancient writers were actually shocked by how much freedom Spartan women seemed to have. So Sparta was progressive, right? A feminist paradise. In ancient times, not quite. Because when you dig deeper into why Spartan society was structured this way, you discover something fascinating. Sparta wasn't trying to empower women. They were engineering a very specific type of society. And women played a crucial role in that grand experiment. Let me show you what I mean. Let's start from the beginning. Spartan society had one primary goal: creating the strongest military force in ancient Greece. Everything was designed around this mission. When Spartan children were born, the community would evaluate whether they appeared healthy and strong. This applied to both boys and girls. Only children who met certain standards were accepted into Spartan society. Girls who were accepted received something extraordinary for ancient times: education and athletic training. Starting around age 7, Spartan girls entered a rigorous training program. They learned gymnastics, running, javelin, throwing, and combat sports. They studied reading, writing, music, and poetry. Now, before you think this was about equality or women's rights, let me explain the actual reasoning. The Spartans believed that strong, healthy, educated women would produce strong, healthy sons who would become superior warriors. This wasn't about empowering women for their own sake. It was about optimizing the next generation of soldiers. Think of it like selective breeding, but for humans. Spartan women exercised in public spaces, sometimes alongside men. They competed in athletic festivals. Ancient writers from other Greek cities were scandalized by this, calling Spartan women bold and shameless. But the Spartans had a very practical reason. They believed physical fitness directly impacted childbirth outcomes and the health of children. Healthier mothers meant stronger warriors. Everything had a purpose in the Spartan machine. Here's where the story takes its first major turn. Spartan men lived in a very unique way. From age 7 to 30, they lived in communal military barracks. Even after marriage, they spent most of their time with their military units rather than at home. So, who managed the estates? Who controlled the property? Who ran the economy? The women. By the 5th century BC, Spartan women controlled significant amounts of land and wealth. How does the greatest military power in Greece lose 90% of its warrior population in just over a century? The answer lies in an unexpected place: inheritance laws and property concentration. You see, Spartan women could inherit property, and with men constantly dying in wars, women often outlived multiple male relatives. Property consolidated in fewer and fewer hands. The 400 BC. Ancient sources tell us that Spartan women controlled approximately 2/5 of all Spartan land. Now here's the problem. To be a full Spartan citizen, to be part of the warrior elitemen, had to make contributions to communal military messes. These contributions came from land income. As land concentrated in fewer hands, more and more men couldn't afford the required contributions. They lost citizenship. They couldn't be warriors anymore. The Spartan military machine was starving itself. In 371 BC, at the Battle of Leuctra, the Spartans faced Thebes with just 700 warriors, a fraction of their former strength. They were defeated decisively. Sparta never recovered its dominance. The unbeatable warriors, the men who held off the entire Persian Empire at Thermopylae, were brought down not by a foreign enemy, but by the unintended consequences of their own social system. So here is the real story, the one that changes everything. Spartan women were UNT-empowered feminists fighting for equality. They weren't helpless victims either. They were participants in a grand social experiment that neither they nor the men fully understood. The Spartans tried to engineer a perfect military society. They gave women education and physical training not for the women's benefit, but to produce better soldiers. They kept men in barracks away from their families, not to oppress anyone, but to maintain military discipline. They allowed women to control property not because they believed in equality, but because someone had to manage things while men were at war. But complex systems have unintended consequences. The education meant to create better mothers also created independent thinkers. The property rights meant for practical management created economic power. The absence of men created a space for women to develop capabilities the system never anticipated. And eventually, these unintended consequences accumulated until the entire system collapsed under its own contradictions. Here's the lesson that echoes through history. You cannot engineer human society like a machine. You cannot treat people as means to an end without creating consequences you never imagined. The Spartans learned this the hard way. They built what they thought was the perfect system. Instead, they created the conditions for their own decline. And the women they tried to mold into perfect mother warriors, they outlasted the entire empire. So what's the real truth about Spartan women? They weren't heroes or victims. They were human beings navigating a complex, often contradictory social system. They found agency where they could survive. They adapted, and ultimately, they played an unexpected role in one of history's greatest ironies. The story of Spartan women teaches us something profound. History is never as simple as good versus evil or oppressed versus empowered. Real history is messy, complicated, and full of unintended consequences. The systems we build today will have consequences we can't predict. The rigid structures we create will find ways to break down, and the people we underestimate will often surprise us. If this story made you see ancient history differently, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me what surprised you most. Did you know Spartan women controlled so much property? Did you know about Sparta's demographic collapse? Share this with someone who loves history, because this is the kind of story they don't teach in school. I'm at Forgotten Files, XXX, reminding you that history is always more interesting than the simplified version. I'll see you in the next one, where we'll uncover another hidden truth from the ancient world. Until then, keep questioning what you think you know.